Hey everybody, it's Demiheals back again with another Transformers review, and today we are looking at the Transformers Generations Titans Return Deluxe Class Triggerhappy. Triggerhappy, as soon as I saw this figure, I believe it was a Bolton Matrix review if I recall. I don't recall exactly what it was, but I knew I wanted to get my hands on this figure as soon as I saw it. And I love the design of this Cyberjet. We're starting in vehicle mode. I know the last one I started in robot mode, that's just because that's how I usually display that one. This one I usually display in jet mode, because I just love how this jet looks. Let me just take it off the stand real fast. Lovely stands I use. I believe it's Bandai Tamashii Nations Act 4? I forget exactly which one it is. But this Cyberjet mode looks amazing. It has these two dual cannons here right between the actual chassis and the wing of the Cyberjet. And then Triggerhappy's two guns that he comes with, I usually put in the holes under the wings, give it an even more heavily armed look, just because I like jets with a lot of guns on them, okay? It is an aesthetic of Cyberjets with guns that I like. Then these center tail fins are awesome as well. And in here, there's a little cockpit that his little Titan Master sits in. Sadly, I've forgotten the name of his Titan Master. I just know that the original Triggerhappy came with a Targetmaster named Blowpipe, which I believe... Oh! I actually do have the War for Cybertron Siege Blowpipe over here, which I will show off in robot mode, him holding that, but Blowpipe's not really the focus here. It's more the focus of the jet. So, looking at the actual transformation of this jet, just because, well, I've already gushed so much about the jet mode itself, we gotta talk about the robot too, otherwise I'm just gushing about a Cyberjet. So getting into the transformation phase of it, I usually like to take off the guns when I'm transforming him. You don't have to, it just, in my opinion, helps declutter. So, first thing you want to do, if you pull on the arms, they'll untab from these little white struts. Then, carefully pull those entire sections away from the main chassis. And as you noticed, this back section of the main chassis also wanted to swing down. Let that swing down. That'll get it out of the way. Then, pull down the nose cone of the Cyberjet, and go ahead and take the Titan Master out of his chassis. We'll get to him in a second. Close that chassis back up, and the main section of it can swing 180 on this little back panel. Then, coming over here to the legs, if we stretch those out, spin them around 180, then stretch out the feet and push those out, split the legs, and there you got legs. Now, fold that up, and that connects to the torso. The nose cone just sits here nicely on the back. Sadly, there's no tabbing in to lock it, but it's a pretty tight swivel there, or a pretty tight joint, so don't worry too much about it. Then, collapse these struts, go ahead and get the top lined up, then push it in. I found that works a lot better. So just getting that top corner lined up and pushing it in. Swing the wings back on their joint so that they're folded back. Flip up those double gun sections and fold out the hands, and we have most of a Triggerhappy. Next we take his Titan Master, and if you've ever held a Titan Master, these things are tiny. Like, for comparison, this is the Micro Cassette Boys in comparison. They are tiny. So, just fold their arms all the way down, fold up their legs, then they have a little neck joint and a head. So if we just plug the head in into that little cavity up top, we have Triggerhappy in robot mode. And again, his two guns, you can have them hold them, or they do slide together to make one single gun. But why would you use just a basic gun for a Targetmaster? And Blowpipe does fit perfectly in his hand as his Targetmaster. Which, I will admit, at first, I didn't think that the two blues would match very well. But then I realized, even though they're slightly different shades, the blue on his tail fins does help bring Blowpipe a bit closer into color. But Triggerhappy, in terms of being able to fly on a stand like his jet mode hole is covered up by the nose cone. So you're not able to use that one unless you want to pose him with a elf cap. But instead, there's a little hole down here on the crotch that we can plug that stand into. And we can get some nice action poses of him flying. And being a modern release figure, he is pretty poseable in terms of that stuff. The Targetmaster neck joint is just a basic ball joint, which is pretty nice, though you don't want to pull too hard or you will take the head off. The shoulders are on just a simple joint right here, but they're also on a swivel around. There is an elbow joint and a swivel at the elbow. Sadly, the wrist swivel is more just part of the transformation rather than any real side-to-side movement out. But I mean, you can move it in if you like. And it's the same on both arms. There isn't any particular difference. The waist swivel, taking him back off the stand for a second. Just a simple waist swivel. Let me get that a bit more in light. Simple waist swivel. Though, technically, he can also have a little bit of a bend back, but that completely breaks the torso open, so probably not. The hips are on a pretty nice ball joint. He can do a perfect split, which I have yet to replicate, as well as the straight out splits for either leg. In terms of thigh swivel, he does have that, which is quite nice. He does have a knee bend, and a pretty good one at that from how he transforms. Then in terms of ankle, he does have a bend forward and a bend back, and his toe is on I don't really want to call it a swivel, but it's on that joint with the main foot. So if you move the main foot up, the toe will go with. If you move it down, you're going to have to readjust the toe to the heel to match. So all in all, this figure is pretty nice, especially for a deluxe standpoint. I have been enjoying this one a lot, and even though it isn't designed to work with the War for Cybertron stuff, I have loved storing it with him, just because it's one of those characters that I didn't even know existed until I saw this figure of it, because I'm a bit of a noob to the series, started with Transformers Cybertron. But definitely a fun figure, and a character that I'm going to want to look a lot more into, personally. But let me know if you guys have enjoyed Triggerhappy as much as I have. I know he's definitely been a rising star in terms of names for me in the Transformers franchise. And let me know in the comments below, is there another, obscure Decepticon that you prefer more? Or is Triggerhappy one of your favorites of the obscure bunch? And of course, don't be afraid to stick around and subscribe. I will be trying to get a lot more of these out when I can. And of course, have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye!